One problem is when you're young, oh, it's just a job. I'll just try it out to see if I like it. And I was like, well, you've been doing it for 20 years. It's not really just a job. It's a career.
And everyone complains about minimum wage. It's like, well, we're hoping you're not happy at minimum wage. It's designed to say, pick yourself up, get going, and get out of the minimum wage area. I think the customer of the plumbing company is actually the plumber. We actually made a commitment maybe 8 or 9 years ago, but we decided to quit complaining about not finding good young people and just build them ourselves. Welcome to Behind the Windshield with Dennis the Apprentice, the podcast where we bring you a diverse lineup of guests, apprentices, seasoned professionals, visionary entrepreneurs, business owners, and master craftsmen every week. I'm your host, Dennis. Yes, I am an apprentice because I'm never going to stop learning and trying new things. I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, and I'm a business owner of a Zoom grain franchise in Seattle, Washington. And I'm on a mission to help hardworking young people get a profitable career in the trades without a college education. So this podcast is for people who are visionary entrepreneurs, apprentices in any trade, people who want to start their own business, and even young people without any experience at all. We bring you stories, insights, and experiences that will help you learn from the success and mistakes of guests and even myself. You can find this podcast on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's go! Sean Daley, thank you for being on Dennis the Apprentice Behind the Windshield.
Glad to be here.
Awesome. Sean, you and I have known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
And we met through PHCC.
That's right.
So now I'm the president. Can you believe that? You were once the president.
Yes, I was.
Awesome.
It's a lot harder than you think it is, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I've been executive director trying to do that role a little bit too. So it's a busy, there's a lot to do.
Yeah.
I wish I could do it full time, actually. It's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
Yeah. Very cool. So you're a plumber.
Yes, I am.
How did you, this is what I love about this, is mostly talking about apprenticeships because I've only known you as a plumber. So how did you discover plumbing?
So actually when I was in junior high school, we used to do a bubble test where you pencil in what you like to do.
Yeah.
And it would spit out a career choice for you. I think it was in the 7th grade. So I got my results back, and number 1 was plumber, number 2 was auto mechanic, and number 3 was doctor, which I think that was just a pie in the sky, something to shoot for.
Yeah. And so was that surprising? Did you like that result or what?
Didn't put much thought into it at that time. Knew I was mechanically inclined, like working on motorcycles, and later on, you know, mini bikes and all that. And I thought I'd be a mechanic.
I see.
But my uncle actually got me into the plumbing at first.
Okay.
And then my path diverged into the Marine Corps. And then when I got out of the Marines, I sought out the plumbing career.
All right.
Yep.
Very cool. So you started in what, 24 years old or something like that, probably 25?
No, I was first in the union at 18.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And due to political circumstances, and not doing well on the test, I was number 14 on the list for the apprenticeship, which, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
My path led me down a different way, and I actually, when I got out of the Marines, I came back and went to my old boss, Pat Nardoni from Nardoni Mechanical.
Okay.
And he said they were pretty full, and he told me to go in an open shop, which I had no idea what an open shop was. I had no background for any type of that stuff. Even though my uncle was in the union,
right,
I had no guidance.
Right. So union, open shop, how does that guy know which one he would like most? You've been in a bit of both. They both have their pluses and minuses, right?
Yeah. I don't think one's good or bad. They're both good.
Right.
If you get into it, if you want to go into that career. So I don't badmouth the union. They have excellent training opportunities. It's just kind of your own personal beliefs and political beliefs and opportunities that lead you down either a union shop or an open shop.
Interesting. Yeah, here in Seattle, it's more defined. I think it's like, if you want to go work on high rises and stuff like that, you got to be union.
Yeah.
If you want to go work in houses and stuff, you got to be open shop. Really, that's kind of how it is here.
Well, that's the thought of that, but
That's the thought,
I did some teaching at CITC, which has been affiliated with PHCC. That's the Construction Industry Training Council.
Institute? CO2. Council. Yeah.
Yeah.
Council. Yeah.
And I was quite shocked how many non-union open shops do public works, schools.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Wow. Very cool. When I do my TikToks and Instagrams and stuff like that, a lot of my messages go the extra mile, be there early, do more than you're paid for. I get so much kickback from union guys, like no way. And it always is union. And it's like, I don't quite understand that, because if I was union, I'd do the same thing, I think. That's how I get in trouble.
I have several friends that are in the union that they show up early. They go above and beyond. I think for the most part, it's always a few, but I think generally the union, all those guys are at the highest quality and do their job and do it exceptionally well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know they show up early for work.
I know.
I think some of it might be too, like maybe age difference. I mean, I was always taught if you start at 7:30 and you're there at 7:30, you're late.
For sure.
Have your boots on, be ready to go, and be ready to work.
Yeah. So yesterday, all my Instagram and stuff, it's all based on things that are happening at my shop, right? And so, yeah, the other day at 7:30, none of the apprentices were there, and I had a guy moving into a truck, and so me and a lead guy are switching trucks, and it took us a half an hour, and they got there at 8 o'clock, and they missed it, and so just naturally, I'm a little frustrated with them. But also naturally, they didn't get to be a part of switching that guy, and where are these guys at? And it wasn't that they were late, but they weren't a part of the solution, right?
Yeah.
And there was a special time of switching trucks. They're usually there on time, so they're good guys. But they just missed out on that opportunity to switch trucks and be a part of that little adventure of getting his truck finally and setting his truck up the way he wanted it, and instead I was doing it.
I think one problem is when you're young, it's just a job. I'll just, try it out and see if I like it. And, I've had guys like, you're really into this. You like going to trade shows. You like, doing all that stuff, going to association meetings and all that. I'm just really not into it. It's just a job to me. And I was like, well, you've been doing it for 20 years. It's not really just a job. It's a career. So
time flies by.
Maybe you might be a happier person with your life and career if you accept the fact that that's going to be your job and you want to excel 110% at it.
Yeah.
It's so easy. I mean, it is so easy in the Seattle area to just do that extra 10%, and people will just gravitate towards you to want you to be with their program. I think you try to instill that with your online things that you post, and just giving guys that extra bit of information that I never got when I was 18. You just go to work, and that, I think, I don't blame the guys back then, my uncle and that.
Yeah.
That's just the way that they were taught, and that's the way they thought about things. But it would have been nice to have someone actually sit down and,
right,
whether I listened to it or not,
sure,
some of it might have sank in.
Sure. Well, I'm putting stuff out every single day, so the guys can't miss me 100%.
Yeah.
If they're on social media, they're going to run into it, accidentally even. I think I was looking back on it, and like, one of the reasons that I was passionate about my apprenticeships was when I finally found my trade, I was 26. I had a new wife and a baby on the way. I didn't have time to stick around at minimum wage, right?
Yeah.
At the bottom.
Yeah.
And everyone complains about minimum wage. It's like, well, we're hoping you're not happy at minimum wage. Like, it's designed to be unpleasant.
Yeah.
It's designed to say, pick yourself up, get going, and get out of the minimum wage area. And so a lot of my passion in my apprenticeship was, how do I get myself out of minimum wage? And I've always believed in going the extra mile, being better than the next guy. I feel sorry for the apprentice I worked with. He was a very good guy, nice guy. He did nothing wrong, but I was exceptional. I was always early. I was always talking to my manager about business. If we had nothing going on over the weekend, I did extra stuff, and I just shined where he didn't. And Brad, if I saw him someday, we'd talk, and it's like I started to feel bitterness coming from him. It's just like, I'm sorry, dude, but I'm motivated and I'm going places, and you can join me or you can just do your job, right?
Yeah.
And he decided just to join me. And I just talked to one of my guys I worked with back then. He says, you were just you were just off the charts. But I was driven because I didn't want to be minimum. I couldn't afford to stay minimum wage for long. And so I hear a lot of pushback, like, I'm not going to do more than I'm paid for. It's like, yes, that's how you go up, is you've got to do more than you're paid for. It will come back to you faster than you think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I used to clean my truck on my own time.
Yeah.
Because I wanted things a certain way. And I never really thought of it. I just thought of it as an investment in my future. And I just was very fortunate that I got a job with bosses that were involved with PHCC, and they instilled that it was important to get your license. It meant something,
Yeah. It does.
and just going forward with that, we need to keep instilling that in the guys to get their license. I think in the current environment that we're in Washington State, I think we are entering the golden age of the plumber, electrician, the tradesman.
Oh yeah.
Because even somebody that's not trained that well, if you show up on time and you clean up after yourself on the job, and you got customer service skills, and you got the computer skills, which I don't have as much as these young guys do.
Sure. Me neither.
Very little has to be done to excel past the mediocre that's out there right now.
Right.
And with the changing of the laws, I'm getting a lot of phone calls from contractors that they specifically ask for a licensed journeyman plumber. We need a licensed plumber to come out and do this work, because they have to.
Yes. Very cool.
So thanks for keep promoting that. You guys have always done that at Gene Johnson.
Absolutely. Yeah. We actually made a commitment. It was maybe 8 or 9 years ago, but we decided to quit complaining about not finding good young people and just build them ourselves. And we put all our energy into building our own people, and it's paid off. It's taken several years to get there, but we literally don't talk that way.
It's hard, and it costs a lot of money.
It does.
And commitment.
Yes.
But if you got guys and there's no secrets, you give them lots of information. A lot of times, if you give them enough information, they'll stick around with you, because they realize how hard it is to run a business in this state. And, you always have that 1%, they're going to be a boss, they're going to start their own shop. So why not fill them with as much information as you can?
Yes.
To make sure that they're charging as much or more than you.
Yes.
I always tried to charge more than my bosses charge.
You're the exception. Yeah. So I think so a couple things about going into business for yourself. I think that's something we can do better at defining, should you start your own business or not? And some should and some shouldn't. It's not right or wrong. But I think a lot of people start their own business because if their company isn't growing, there's nowhere to go. And they look around and go, wow, the son's not leaving and the dad's not leaving. And if I'm going to go up, I got to go out to go up. And so they kind of get forced on their own. So I've always felt obligated to grow my business So my good guys, there would be a place for them as we grew, right? And so that's come to be true. But how do you think, is there a way to know if you should start your own business or not? Like any tips in your experience?
I just think yourself that's the if you're not going to own your own business, then you're definitely management. As an owner, you need to see that and then groom that, which I'm pretty sure you guys do that.
You do, right?
From inside, and yeah, I don't know what the specific qualities are, whether you just know, like.
Yeah, this is a hard question. I've been asking people that because I think a lot of guys get started and they start their own business and they probably shouldn't. They might have been in the wrong company, but the answer wasn't to go off on their own.
I never really thought of it like that, but yeah I think the wrong company helps push a guy to start his own company.
Right.
Yeah. Whether it's not having the good equipment, not having the right tools to do the job, not having the support like you guys do and you promote. We're here for the plumber to help them do whatever they need. That's what I try to do with my guys. Like, I ran and got a water filter for them and dropped it off of the job. And they're like, well, we can go get it. And I'm like, nope, stay there. I'll go grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a plumbing company, the customer of the plumbing company is actually the plumber.
Yeah. I had a guy that worked for me and then I lost him during the Great Recession.
Yeah.
And I would show up at houses to do work and they're like, who are you? Where's Rick? And I'm like, well, he's moved on and worked somewhere else. He went to work for Boeing at the time. And I'm like, you got the boss here. And they're like, oh, well, we know Rick. I think too, like, you got to expect, if you got a guy that's going to start his own business, as an owner, you got to expect that some of your guys are going to leave. Some of your customers are going to leave with them.
Sure.
Because they've created a relationship. I mean, if you don't lose 10% of your customers when your guy leaves, he might not have been the best employee working for you.
Yeah.
Because I have had some employees leave and some of the customers go with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of them come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. But some of them don't.
Yeah.
So very interesting. You only get that information when you've been in business as long as you and I have.
Yes, exactly.
And all of a sudden, all the puzzle pieces start going together, and you're like, "Oh, wow, that's how that works now."
Right.
Not always that quick at picking up on that stuff.
Yeah.
Because you're busy working.
Yeah, you're busy making things happen.
Yeah.
I think. I think the best competition possible is the best. And so if a guy's going to start his own business, I do want him to understand how to run it and price properly.
Yes.
And I think a lot of guys think I'm going to charge less than my boss and I'm going to keep all the money and get rich.
Yeah, that equation doesn't work.
And it's this vicious cycle downward. And so for me, if anybody leaves, I'm an open book, like, please. And I teach my guys now, like, this is what it costs to run a business. This is why we charge what we charge. And I've been surprised. I've had some guys move out of state and start their own business. And they're like, oh, I didn't know insurance was this much. I didn't know this was this much. And I'm like, I told you. You think I was kidding? Like, it wasn't a joke. I taught you all this.
Yeah.
And so they didn't pay attention like they are now.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we actually met each other through PHCC. So Larry Fisher. So I went to a couple PHCC meetings when I first came to Gene Johnson. And back then they were really not, the guys around here were really kind of against the flat rate concept. And I, being new to the industry, I'm looking at all the big players and they're all flat rate. So I kind of thought, well, maybe I shouldn't be, this is not the organization for me. So I went away. But what I regret is that I disconnected from, I had some pretty big shoes to fill. Gene Johnson, my father-in-law, was a big name.
Yes, he was. Everybody knew who Gene was.
and big boots. And I knew I was a fish out of water for a while, and so I retreated to learn how the industry went and figure stuff out. And if there's one thing I could do different, I would have reached out and said, "Hey, help me." And I what I know now is that people would have. So I retreated and learned on my own and went to other networks to learn, not realizing the network that existed at PACC here locally. But Larry Fisher started begging me, can he come to my, like, literally, please come to a meeting. We want you to come to a meeting. And I'd been in the industry like 15 years by that point.
Larry is the most persistent human being I've ever met in my life.
Oh my goodness.
And a great human.
Yeah. And he came and came and came and came. And finally I'm like, okay, I'll go. And so I started showing up in the IAPMO meetings. I started seeing you at IAPMO meetings. But that was when I felt confident enough I could kind of reach out and sit in a room full of business owners and know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But I waited way too long. I should have networked much sooner.
Yeah, once again, I was fortunate. The bosses I worked for, it was kind of like a non-discussion,
Yeah.
you know, that you're going to do that.
Yeah.
And kind of eliminate the mystique of that there's they got the secret to plumbing business,
Yes.
which
There's no secret.
there is no secret.
Yeah.
You get the job, you do the job, you get
Yeah.
the money, you put it in the bank,
Price
you pay your suppliers, and then you job cost and figure out where you're at
Yeah. Yeah.
constantly.
Constantly.
And then you
Awesome.
work on building all those relationships and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flat rate. Yeah, that was like, I remember back 25 years ago, 30 years ago, you know, I fell in line with that too, where we thought they were overcharging, and that's just because you didn't have the information
Right.
to really know what it costs to run a business and to pay guys and to train them and to do all the required stuff that the state makes you do where you don't get paid, you know, all of the unbillable hours for collecting, distributing, local, state, federal taxes. That's a full-time job somebody's got to do.
Absolutely.
And when you're a one-man shop, you're basically failing at 3 of the jobs,
Yeah.
you know,
You don't have time to do them all.
75% of the time.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, what I've learned about this industry is, and I encourage people, like, I think a lot of people when they quit their job and start a business, they think that they're enemies. But boy, once you get in the business world, we all need to be friends and network together and help each other out. And the truth is, there's so much work out there. Like, I had a plumber that taught me this, that, you know, we're not enemies. It's like playing the golf course. The golf course is the enemy. We all see how good we can do
Yeah.
against the golf course, and the golfers aren't enemies with each other. It's the golf course, and that's how the marketplace is.
I think you have to get over your ego and realize I need as much help as I can get at all times.
Yes. And what's surprising is once you're connected and you know people, they'll help you out.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody helps.
You can honestly, if you're that type of person and you contribute and you create relationships, you really feel like if I really got in trouble, I could call somebody to come in and help me out.
And they would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's happened to me. I once found myself without a side sewer.
Yeah.
We've been forever. We didn't have a side sewer license because some weird thing happened with the insurance. And it was a fellow PACC contractor that let me use his license for 2 jobs until I fixed it.
I've been down that same road. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Got into a situation where I didn't really understand the requirements for the city of Seattle. Didn't think that I needed a side sewer license, and was able to reach out to fellow plumbers and started going over everything and got a lot of information. Well, first of all, they were willing to help me out
Yeah.
and do the job if I did need that. And
Right.
second of all, because of their knowledge and background in doing side sewers, we found out that that was not the case because I wasn't actually tying into the street.
Right.
So anyways, without getting into it, it was kind of a very unique situation with the pool.
Right.
So
Right. But it was your network that helped you out.
the network,
And we don't realize that guys start and leave a company and start their own, and they think they're enemies. But if you don't network, you're going to be in trouble.
yep,
So build your well, dig your well before you need it, right?
yep, absolutely.
Very cool. Well, Sean, thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely. It was
Awesome.
fun. We'll do it again.
Let's do it.
Thank you for sticking around to the end of the show. Did you agree? Did you disagree? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. Making the trades the place to be for young people is a team effort. So share this with someone and help us all out.